Hello and welcome to the LRM podcast, sponsored by Adrian Flux Insurance. I'm Martin Dominy.
And I'm Steve Miller.
And we've got a special guest with us today, haven't we, Steve?
We have indeed.
Ed Evans is here, technical editor.
Yep.
How you doing, Ed?
Very well, thanks. Yeah, great.
Great to have you here. We're going to kick off by, should we answer some listeners' questions?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, well, the first one that springs to mind, Adam Wormleyton has got in touch. We know Adam off Instagram, don't we, Steve?
Well, if he's on Instagram, of course we know Adam, yeah.
Yeah, he's a lovely bloke and he's got some very nice Land Rovers. He says, he kicks off on a positive note. I'll be honest, I've never seen what the big thing about podcasts is.
Thanks, Adam.
They've never crossed my radar, but I had a working day in London and a terrible train journey, and I decided to try one of your podcasts as it was Land Rover related, and as a result, I've listened to them non-stop.
Oh, there you go.
Brilliant.
Happy days.
I was going to say, I thought what you were going to say to make his day even worse. He just thought I'd listen to us two.
He goes on to say, I thought some guest suggestions might be contributors. Well, we've fulfilled that already because Ed's here.
Yeah, exactly. Not just a contributor.
No, very much.
No,
indeed.
Let's put it.
Should we kick off by doing a bit of an introduction about Ed?
Yeah, because some of our listeners might know who Ed is, although he's our technical editor.
Indeed. So, what's your name and where'd you come from, Ed?
What's my name? Where do I come from? Well, I come from Barrow-in-Furness originally. Still live in Cumbria. I've been around in between times. But, that's where I came from. And that's where I got into Land Rovers at Barrow-in-Furness.
Right, okay. So your readers of the magazine will know that you head up the technical section and you look after those pages. So
that's right, yeah. Yep.
It's about trying to be as up-to-date and as modern with stuff that's coming through the ranks that people might not have seen before, keeping a good balance of vehicles, that sort of thing.
That's exactly it, yeah. Yeah, getting a balance of vehicles, a balance of subjects, technical stuff that we can talk about, and trying to explain how things work, how things are fixed, and answering questions in Talkback.
Absolutely. Talkback, if you haven't seen it before, where have you been for a start? But it's a really interesting page where essentially readers, like listeners, get in touch and ask us questions, like Adam has. Readers of the magazine get in touch with their problems that they're having with their Land Rovers, and then we basically ask the person who is most sort of qualified to answer them, and we put that information out there. So it's always sort of evolving, isn't it?
That's right. I've got a panel of specialists. Each knows various models intimately, and so they're well placed to answer questions. But it's not only about readers' questions. We also like readers' contributions, their own ideas. And in the next issue of LRM, we'll be having an idea from a reader. So any ideas, modifications that you've done, how to do things, faults that you've fixed in unusual ways, always glad to hear about it.
So how do they get in touch with you, Ed?
Well, the email address is at the bottom of the cover page on the technical section, where I write my intro. LRMtechnical@gmail.com.
Good stuff. So if you've got a tech question, or you have some feedback maybe, or an idea that you think would be great to share with other readers, then by all means drop Ed an email. And if you want to, again, get in touch with the podcast as well, editorial@lrm.co.uk, we can send any technical stuff his way and he can have a dig into it. So all good. Another listener has got in touch. Alex Curling emails saying, "Hi, I'm Alex. I've been listening to the podcast since the beginning. Play each episode as soon as it comes out." So Adam could probably take a leaf out of your book, to be honest, Alex. Maybe he's going to now. I've always loved Land Rovers and Range Rovers because of my dad. When I got my Discovery too, my dad said he once sent in an article to a magazine about his classic. He listens to the podcast as well, and he would love to get him mentioned. His name is Chris. We used to work from a 2003 110 crew cab, but now he's spec'd that up to his Dream Defender and has a Freelander 1 TD4 as a daily. A good choice, I'd say, as a runaround. Yeah, can't beat you've got a Freelander, haven't you?
A Freelander 1, yeah.
Yours is early as well.
It's a very early one. It's the year 2000 with the old Rover diesel engine in, which doesn't go, but it doesn't stop either. Terrific engine.
The trusty L series, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Good stuff. A little bit agricultural compared to the TD4, but like you say, they keep plugging on, don't they?
That's right, yeah. You've really got to know how to pull out of a busy junction. It's quite a skill.
Like an old diesel Range Rover.
That's right, yeah.
Because it lives in Cumbria. There's no roads in Cumbria that busy.
There aren't any busy junctions.
You wouldn't survive in Milton Keynes.
No. Very true. Cool. So, Chris Curling, Alex's dad. Thanks for dropping us an email, Alex, and I hope your dad enjoys his shout out. And he's actually attached a copy of the feature that he had of his Range Rover Classic for the tape I'm showing Steve at the end.
Right. Yeah.
The picture of the feature. So thanks for sending that in, Alex. Very cool. And I hope you continue to enjoy the podcast.
Because the image is in black and white, does that mean Ed will remember it?
Oh, I probably will. Yeah, it's yeah. Can't be doing with these newfangled colour things at all. Yeah, every Range Rover was white or black.
So now I've insulted Ed. Having worked with you for probably 12, 14 years, Ed, haven't I?
It's 14, 15 years. Yeah.
On LRM.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all started off and. Well, you came over from Land Rover, didn't you?
I did, yes, that's right, yeah, to join Dave Phillips when he was just taking over as editor on LRM.
Oh, wow.
And back then, I mean, we had a fairly okay technical section, didn't we? But you've just taken it to a whole new level with the content and the information that we provide.
That's what I told Dave I'd do, and I think it's worked out here. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I certainly can't. Obviously, I sort of did the equivalent of your job on LRO for, I can't remember how many years, a few years before coming across to LRM. And, it was always like friendly competition, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Keep sort of ahead of the...
Yeah.
Ahead of the...
yeah. I enjoyed seeing what was in LRO, and I'm sure you enjoyed seeing what was in LRM. And it's both making sure each magazine was the better.
Absolutely. Well... Yeah, we're in that sort of luxurious, well, not luxurious, but we're in that position now where we can both work together to try and push things forward, continue that drive and keep it at the top of its game.
Absolutely.
Got a joke for you. 2 heads are better than 1.
Oh.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Steve's now...
Thanks, Steve, for that input.
Steve, we weren't on the podcast last week, were you? Because we had Jimmy DeVille on. I'm starting to think it might be the way forward.
Yeah, so what are you doing? I had a week off.
I know.
I didn't actually have a week off. I was actually working. I was heading down to the Newbury Spares Day.
Oh yeah, Newbury was really good.
It was good.
I had a great day. I went there with the objective of buying nothing, and I ended up coming away with a few nice bits. Actually, I was pleased.
I wish every time I do a spares day or work a spares day, I wish I had time to look around. I just do not have time.
I know.
I'd rather get everybody in and done and sorted and don't get hungry and then that's it.
Yeah, it's always, I come along and help out sometimes on the spares days, but Steve and the wider LRM team put in a lot of hours every weekend to try and make all the spares days happen. And it's really quite nice to see when you do see people there having a good time and actually buying stuff and traders, and making good sales and things like that, and it all comes together. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, and by the time people are listening to this, we'll have just come back from the Ripon Spares Day.
2 out of 3.
Yeah, but it's not too late to head down to the Three Counties Showground at the end of October to the last in the year, which is the Malvern event, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
And it's a great way to sell parts because the deal's immediate. You talk face to face with people. They produce the cash and walk away with the goods. There's no waiting for people to come round to see things, make their minds up.
Absolutely. No fees either.
No
selling fees.
I tell you what, the difference is, I mean, we joked, haven't we, on this podcast about Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
This week, right, I bought a table saw from a garage sale once. It is for a bit of woodwork, and I've used it. It's in the way. I paid £20 for it when I got it. Put it on Facebook Marketplace for $25 because someone's going to knock you down.
Yeah, sure.
Next thing, is this still available? Yes, it is. Nothing. Tumbleweed. The amount of people. That's the beauty of the spares day, isn't it? You're there, you just said.
Yeah.
You're there, you do a deal, the part gets taken away.
Yeah.
the other kit clear out, you make actual cash.
There's no arranging a time and a place to meet with someone off the internet and hoping that they're actually going to turn up and that they're actually going to pay what you've already agreed price-wise and things like that.
And the other thing is, you don't have to tell somebody else where you live, so they come round to see that you've got other Land Rover stuff.
Yeah,
Which is,
and a shed full of spares.
Which is not always a good thing, is it? Because you don't actually know who you're inviting around your house.
Yeah, true.
So, from a security point of view.
There you go. Do you need any more reasons to come to Malvern?
No, I've got them all.
I do as well.
And our friendly faces will be there.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good. Right, as we've had a glut of them, shall we do another listener's question? I like this question.
Oh, go on then.
Go on.
This is from Stephen Newton. Stephen says, first of all, loving the podcast. Can't wait for Wednesday mornings to hear it. One small criticism, it's not long enough. Could it be at least 2 hours so I could listen all day? No, because Steve will crack more awful jokes and make puns that we can't put up with, quite frankly.
I was going to say we could just go out and leave Steve to talk.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I've got all the time in.
A podcast on your own. Could you do a solo podcast?
I bet you could.
With the two voices in my head. Right. I reckon after an hour, I would go a bit, you get a bit silly, don't you?
Yeah.
Things go off the rails.
Yeah.
We should try it one day.
That could be interesting.
So, Stephen goes on to say, from my dad owning a lovely blue Series 3 and 2 Defenders when I was younger, I've loved them ever since, and I'm now a Land Rover owner myself. It's a 2.2 Discovery Sport HSE Lux. Very good. The Discovery Sport to have, the 2.2.
Oh, so that's the early engines.
That's the right engine.
The pre-Ingenium.
Yep.
You've just offended, Ed, everybody with an Ingenium engine.
No, they know the risk.
Yeah.
They brought this on themselves.
They might not have done it because they hadn't read the things that they should have.
I was saying actually earlier on to you, wasn't I? I passed it was an Evoque, 17 plate Evoque on the motorway the other day, and it was just absolutely pouring blue smoke out of the exhaust.
Yeah, that's the end of that one.
And I thought,
yeah, I saw an Evoque today, a white one, putting white smoke out of the exhaust. That was a 2015. Very early one.
Very early Ingenium. Yeah. Bad news. But
yeah.
Anyway, so he goes on, he's got the Discovery Sport with the correct engine, which was good to hear. He would like to one day hopefully own a Defender 90, and he's often thought about what would be his perfect Defender, from chassis to engine, interior, wheels, body colour. And he wonders, what would our perfect Defender be if money was no object?
Ooh.
That's definitely a question.
I think
first,
Ed should kick off with this one. But what are you? Because you've had a lovely 90 in the past, haven't you?
I've had a lovely V8 90. Yeah, I've had a lovely TD5 110. Yeah, and a couple of others which I won't mention because they were sheds. But am I allowed to go to the new Defender?
If you want to.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't specify.
I was pretty much against the new Defender for quite a few years, but now I think it's my go-to car.
Wow.
I'd like a 110 or a 130. My bank account wouldn't like it, but nevertheless, yeah, money no object. That's the vehicle I'd be going for, and I'd trick it up with a lot of kit.
Good stuff.
And I'd travel in it. Yeah, it would inspire me to travel. Yeah.
What engine option do you think you'd go for?
Oh, Ingenium 6-cylinder.
Okay.
Definitely.
Diesel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't go petrol. That would be too expensive to run. But the Ingenium 6-cylinder, good fuel consumption, sounds nice, sounds meaty. Quite noisy, but that's okay, I think, in a Defender. Yeah, great pulling power, good cruising engine. The one for me.
Okay, very good. All right, so we've got 110 or 130, 6-cylinder diesel. What are your 3 first modifications to that, do you think?
I want lights. I want a good set of lights, roof lights.
Okay.
To look down when off-roading. Frontal lights as well. Spare wheel on the back if it isn't already there. And I think that's about it. I find it difficult to get 3. Maybe some underside protection.
Okay. Yeah, good shout.
Yeah.
You can pretty much sort of spec one up quite highly just from the factory, can't you?
You can, yes. Yeah.
There's not too much
Yeah.
of I mean, you can, obviously. There's aftermarket companies that already specialise in new Defender, but you can get one to a nice, usable, adventure-type spec out the box, can't you?
Yeah. Actually, thinking about, I'll change my third wish to a rather ridiculous wrap, a body wrap, with a few racing numbers, stuff like that, stickers and mud all over it.
Very
I'd like
good.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see you definitely get some attention.
Can you imagine, right? So it's I would never have expected that answer for it.
No, those.
Yeah.
A friend of mine has a Porsche 911, and he's done it with a wrap, which makes it white. It's got a racing number, stripes on it, and it's covered in mud, and it looks fabulous.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
It's four-wheel drive. It's an off-roader in theory. Wouldn't catch the Defender.
Is it like wrapped mud or is it actual mud?
It's wrapped mud.
So it's fake mud.
Fake
It
mud,
just looks
yeah.
like mud.
Oh, yeah, wrapped mud.
I
Yeah.
thought you'd wrap it and then get it covered in
Oh,
mud
no,
because it
no.
would protect the paint.
No, you have the mud on the wrap.
Oh, right.
Design-
So you never need to wash it.
Interesting.
That's a really unique answer.
That is, yeah. I wouldn't have expected that either, but there you go.
Oh, it's the way to go.
Oh, well, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Go on then, Steve.
Yeah.
Fire away.
Really, really tricky because there's no such thing as the perfect one.
But-
Money, no object.
Yeah.
It would absolutely have to be V8 petrol for me. It would have to be.
Okay.
But a 90. I
Okay.
don't know what engine. I would probably get Money No Object JLR Classic to build me one.
Ah,
Oh, right. Okay.
Money No Object.
Yeah.
Because I just think, because money's no object, it's the thing to have. But I mean, I've seen some fantastic builds done in other, workshops recently. That you probably wouldn't need to spend that kind of money
Right. Okay.
to do it.
So we're going 90. We're going V8.
Yeah, V8 90.
What are you having on it? What colour are you going for? What upgrades are you going for? This is what Stephen wants to know, all right?
Yeah, okay. We looked through the issue the other day, didn't we? The first issue of Land Rover Monthly.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And that one that was in, was it Utah?
Yes.
That yellow
Yes. Moab, yeah.
Moab, yeah, with those three lights, the
Safari Guard. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, AA yellow. Is it AA yellow? Wasn't it?
Well, it's almost like a Borrego, isn't it? Like a G4 colour. It probably would have been called something different, but that's the sort of colour it is.
you want to be noticed, Steve. Or you want people to notice your new Defender.
No, I don't know. Well, what with your designer mud?
Do you remember that?
You stand out more than me.
It must have been about 10 or so years ago now. You could buy spray on mud. Do you remember? It was in the product section of one of the
Oh, I missed that.
mags. And it was like a really odd product, and I can't imagine it sold that well. But yeah, spray on mud existed for
Yeah.
it. So yellow 90 V8 mods. Come on, Steve. You should have this on the top of your head.
I've always liked most of the Defenders that I've seen built in America.
Yeah,
They've got that. We've touched on this before. They've got that kind of less is more look.
So you want white wall tyres?
No, do you know what? I really don't like white wall tyres, unless it's like the BF Goodrich tyres when they've been
the white letter.
white letter.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
slightly different.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Although, to be honest, now I would put that white lettering on the inside, not the outside.
Okay,
So I don't want to be that in your face.
right.
But definitely like the American look.
Well, the KM3, the latest BF Goodrich mud terrain, you can't get with white lettering, I don't think.
Okay. That'd be the tyre for me then.
Right, okay.
I
So
remember
that's
buying
right.
some.
Because I think tyres make of a car, don't they?
They do, yeah. I saw Neil Watterson yesterday, and he's just put a set of the new Britpart 6.5 inch wide steel wheels on his 110 with KM3s, and it looks perfect.
Mm.
They're just the right width, and they're just the right offset with those 235/85 mud terrains. And
Okay.
it just looks spot on.
Amazing, isn't it? How that's transformed it. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, yeah, it had Sawtooths on it before with, I think it might have had Falcons.
What did you do with these Sawtooths? How of interest. I tell you why I asked that question, right? So when I was at Newbury, we were booking in the trade,
Mm-hmm.
and a Coniston Green 90 TD5, just like mine, turned up, farm spec, you'd say, and they weren't Sawtooths, but they were similar, with an aggressive tyre. I think they were Beef Goodrich tyre.
Right.
It looked stunning. I thought, well, I've got that car, I just don't have the wheels and tyres. It looked completely different.
Well, where it all began really was our first ever podcast.
We talked about wheels and tyres.
Exclusively about wheels and tyres, and it's still something I could bang on about for ages.
But the fact that is you can transform the complete appearance. So wheels and tyres are really important in Steve's question there, wasn't it, about our dream Land Rover? It's about wheels and tyres, really.
Yeah, well,
because you transform the purpose of the car.
Yeah,
I'd have to have V8.
Yeah. You set it stance, don't you?
It does. It does. Don't particularly want lifted suspension, possibly 2 inches at the most, just to kind of lift it a bit. Yeah, it'd have to be soft top.
Okay.
Basically,
you want a NAS spec.
Yeah, but better, more aggressive wheels and tyres, and probably a more powerful V8.
Okay.
Than a Rover V8. Probably go the 5 litre route.
Okay. Yeah. 5 litre. Okay. Yeah, so, right. Yeah, you've sort of built that in my head, sort of. Yeah, okay. Yellow, 90, 5 litre, soft top. Black soft top?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so it is essentially in that.
But the mohair one, the more modern version, say.
Got you.
Yeah.
Well, my initial thought was similar, because I'm really into the sort of late 80s, 90s look at the moment. So I think I'd probably
tell by your hair.
Wow. Thank you. To be honest, you know what? Actually, I haven't. Honestly, my haircut and style has been the same since I was in primary school.
Yeah,
and you can probably see that.
That looks
just endorse what you say.
Oh, yeah, when you were in primary school.
I'm not flipping later than you were.
Yeah, but that you can't. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Right, I would have. My choice actually is inspired by when I was on holiday in, I think it was Rhodes, and we did what they called wrongly a Jeep Safari, and it was all 110 soft tops with 3.9 V8 and 5-speed R380 gearbox.
Nice.
And when I first saw them, I didn't think too much. I thought it was cool, and I was happy that it wasn't a Jeep. But when we actually rode in them, like they had full-length roll cages and like padded roll cages and like rolled up soft tops and things like that. I'd thought to myself, if I build a Defender from the ground up, I would build one of these. It rode so nice because it was 110. The power, the V8 with the 5-speed manual on Greek mountains and things like that, I'd have one of them, slightly bigger tyres. I'd go 255, 85, probably, well, it doesn't really matter, that size, which I think is the perfect size for a Defender. Worn 8274 on the front, leave it at that.
Okay.
White 8 spokes.
Oof.
Controversial choice. But I think that would fit with the overall feel of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if anyone wants to lend me 20 grand, then that's what I'll build.
You're still going to stand out, Steve, with your yellow soft top.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking next to us in this very room is a step ladder, and it's yellow. And it's yellow, isn't it?
Is that the yellow you're going for? Step ladder yellow. Colour-wise,
health and safety yellow.
I'm still in love with that Amaranto Ferrari red that Cool and Vintage used, so I was going for that.
It is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about that. We haven't really spoken about what we've been up to, have we? Because last week, like I say, we had Jimmy on, so we've sort of got a bit of catching up to do. So apart from going to Newbury, what's new on your radar, Steve? What have you been doing?
Staring at an unfinished project.
Well, we all know that because it's the same every week.
So I'll get that in. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, Ed, let's go back to you.
Oh, yeah.
Your current daily, we've mentioned your Freelander, but your other car's a Range Rover Sport, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yeah. 2006 Range Rover Sport. Yeah.
Yes, so it's TDV6.
Yeah, 2.7 V6 engine, diesel. Yeah.
What's your overall thoughts as a daily vehicle, sort of an all-rounder for you? Because there's a lot of them about at the moment, and I know they're quite tempting.
Well, it's such an all-round vehicle that I just can't change it. It's got nearly 180,000 miles on it. It's pretty aging. It suffers from chassis rust, body rust, but I keep on top of that. But to me, it's totally irreplaceable. It just does absolutely everything. Rubbish to the tip, mountain bikes in the back, comfortable travel for 4 people onto the continent. It's just absolutely everything.
Good stuff. So it's like we were chatting about earlier. There's so many of these the sports and the L322s for sale for not much money, and if you can get over the quite heavy tax on them and the age-related stuff that's going to be the same on any car regardless, they're actually a great buy, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. And although the tax might appear to be heavy, if you were to buy a newish car, as we were saying earlier on, the tax is even heavier on, say, a late model Velar. But also, you've got higher insurance on the later models, whereas the insurance on a very old model, a 2006, is relatively cheap.
Of course, that's partly down to the fact that the earlier ones like that have a proper key, so you're not having the potential.
Well, there is that, yeah. And also, of course, because the value is low, you don't quite need to pay such an expensive premium with certain top league insurance companies, because the car's going to be written off if there's any extensive damage anyway.
And only to the value of...
To the value of the car,
The car, which is negligible in a lot of cases.
Yeah, you're seen as a much lower risk, aren't you, to the coffers of the insurance.
So I think an elderly Range Rover Sport or D3 are an absolute bargain. They really are.
I agree. It's all about... It's one of those, isn't it? You buy certainly on that type of car, you certainly... Well, to an extent, other models as well, you're buying on condition rather than mileage, because one of them, I remember the traffic officer, the highways agency, Discoveries. We used to look after them when I was working in the dealer, and they'd come in for their first service about 2 months after they'd been PDI'd, and they did colossal mileages. And apart from driver's seat wear and things like that, where people have been jumping in and out all day, every day, mechanic-wise, they were pretty spot on. They were, because they're a heavy car, brakes, bushes, tyres, consumable stuff you've got to keep on top of, but they would cover huge mileages without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, that's right. So if they're driven properly, that's a bit undefined, but if they're driven properly and fairly easily and with sympathy for the mechanicals, then they're not overloaded, they're not overstressed. But I think if somebody drives, say, a Range Rover Sport very, very hard all the time, it's going to be expensive because there's a lot of weight and there's a lot of power, and that adds up to a lot of stress if it's all used. And so things wear out. And yeah, admittedly, on something like a Sport or even a D3, repairs can be expensive. But it's how you maintain it, it's how you drive it, and I think they can be very good value.
Absolutely. And if you are looking to go into the sort of explore the world of sort of, what should we say, middle-aged Range Rovers and things like that, and you're considering buying one, you definitely want to get an insurance quote first, don't you?
Very true, yes. Yeah. Find out what it's going to cost to run before you buy.
As you found when you went to look at a Velar, you were keen to get on board, and it turned out it was a little bit dear.
I was very keen on a 3-litre Velar, because I love the V6 engine in the Range Rover Sport, so that seemed to be a good move. But insurance seemed to be cheap, except it isn't for the first 5 years. It's actually more than the Range Rover Sport. Sorry, tax, did I say?
Oh, because of the luxury vehicle
Yeah,
tax.
that's right, the luxury vehicle tax. But the insurance premium put me off.
Okay.
That was just too much.
Like we said, though, just now, it's purely down to the fact that the vehicle's still at a higher value, and as that adjusts, so will the premiums.
Yeah, but of course the Velar's very nickable, and that's the real problem.
Unfortunately, they've all of that generation, haven't they, gained a bit of a reputation for the keyless entry being not ideal if you want the vehicle to stay on your drive. However, if you are looking to change your Land Rover and you want to get an insurance quote, why don't you speak to the sponsors of this podcast, Adrian Flux?
Absolutely, yeah.
We're proud to partner with Adrian Flux, an insurance broker that specialises in covering all types of Land Rovers, including classic, ex-military, modified and Q-plated models. Adrian Flux offers a range of optional extras to make the policy your own and can provide cover for off-roading, green laning, agreed value and build-up cover. Plus, they even offer a discount of up to 15% for Owners Club members. Simply search Adrian Flux Land Rover Insurance for more information or call them directly on 0344 728 0417 for a quote.
Well, exciting news. There's a new issue of Land Rover Monthly on sale.
Good stuff.
We
Go out and buy it. There you go.
Please do.
There's our sound plug for today.
Right, I'm actually really, really excited about this issue because...
Do you know you said it every month?
Well, I am.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with it. But among all the other Land Rover goods...
He's good at the job, you see.
Well, yeah, it's the man in the right seat, isn't he?
Listen, it would be nothing without contributors.
And tech editors.
And tech editors.
Where do I come into this?
I don't know. Where do you?
I don't think you did, Steve.
Yeah. You set yourself up.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I started, because I did take the mickey out of your house.
Anyway, feature of the week. We're going to kick off with the feature of the week. I'm really, really excited about this.
Great feature.
Gary Pusey has absolutely been working his socks off on this feature. Nearly a year's worth of work's gone into this, and it is uncovering all sorts of information we didn't know about the development of the first discovery, the Project J, as it's better known. And the feature, first in a two-part series, really does... It's an absolute Discovery Geeks nirvana. It is brilliant. Photos that have never been published before, information that's never been brought to the public domain before. It is just mind-blowing. And, I can't thank Gary enough for the work that he's put into this. If you're interested in Land Rover history or discoveries in general, absolutely do not miss out on this issue of Land Rover Monthly. This is the December issue. It's in shops now. Go and grab one. And amongst, all the other great Land Rover content, this Discovery feature is, I can't get enough of it. I've read it twice already.
It's probably worth saying, actually, so if you're listening to this outside of the UK and you can't just nip down to your local newsagents, you can actually purchase digital issues of the magazine, can't you?
Absolutely. You can go to landrovermonthly.co.uk. There's a couple of different ways you can buy an online issue. You can buy a single issue, or you can subscribe, get a monthly digital subscription, so you get it earlier than it goes in the shop. You also, which we probably don't shout about enough, digital issues, you actually get extended features. So pictures that don't appear in the magazine, because, we've limited for space in the mag, you get extra images on the digital issues. So if you want to go down that route, you get a little bonus.
So you'd need to subscribe, get this issue with this story in, and in time for part 2.
Yes, so this is the December issue. The next issue is winter issue, which goes on sale in about 4 weeks, and that's got part 2 in it. So don't miss that either if you're into your discoveries. Yeah, really, really cool. And I love it. I love all the alien discovery stuff.
And there are some terrific pictures of Project J, showing the original design ideas which were rejected, optional designs for the Discovery before its birth, and they're really well worth seeing.
Absolutely. You've also got comparisons of the competitors at the time, like the Daihatsu 4-track, Mitsubishi Shogun, and some early...
The Japanese vehicles.
Yeah, some really nice design sketches of the interior. Yeah, don't miss it, basically.
Well, the more Discovery is left on the road than now Daihatsu 4-tracks.
Yeah, you don't see that many 4-tracks anymore. But then Discovery 1s are sort of thin on the ground now, aren't they? I think the people who've got nice ones keep them nice.
Yeah, they've become, like you say, classic cars in their own right.
Absolutely. And for good reason, because I think they're a great car, especially the early ones. They've got a real special feeling about them. Sort of similar to what you said about the early Freelander. That's sort of in its purest form, isn't it, before they modernise it?
Yeah, very early Discovery with a Conrad interior. Lovely. Yeah, very unusual.
In either sonar blue or beige, depending on your taste. Right, next up, we're going to have Product of the Week.
Yeah, Ed probably doesn't know this, but this is where Martin sings.
I do a little sing song.
Product of the Week.
This week's Product of the Week is a mug.
Really?
Yeah, like you. This mug isn't just a normal mug, though. It is.
Aren't we all mugs sitting here when we should be, like, home?
Can I do Product of the Week, please, Steve? It's a mug styled on a Land Rover oil filter. Part number, resplendent on the front there, ERR 3340. And, yeah, it's an 11-ounce enamel mug with a handle, obviously. But it's got all the usual markings and the styling of an oil filter. And I think that's really cool, and I want one for my workshop.
So basically, if you have that mug, I reckon you have to make your tea extra strong.
Yeah.
To oil that's in it.
Like, really put like 3 teaspoons of coffee in it, so it's like sort of 10-40 consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Okay.
You need an oil drain container to do the washing up as well.
You just style your entire kitchen on a workshop. I think that's a great idea.
It's a bit like a snap-on steak knives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The snap-on toaster.
No?
There's a snap-on toaster, and you put the bread in, you push it down, and it toasts the bread with the snap-on S logo on. It's absolute. I don't know how much money you have to spend with your local snap-on dealer to get the snap-on toaster, but
If we were paid enough money, right, you could get one. So on your slice of toast as the LRM podcast.
we were talking about doing a bit of merch, weren't we? People are loving the
I
stickers.
don't think we're going to get a branded toaster by the end of the year. Yeah, but it's got the LRM logo on the bread when it's toasted.
Listen, Steve, you've got to aim for the stars in this game, and I think LRM podcast toaster might work.
Can we not just
That would be
launch a
superb.
beanie or something first?
Right, going back to this oil filter mug, it's a really stylish thing. It's very cool, and it'll keep drink hot for ages because we all know what enamel mugs are like. They do keep things hot for ages. It's €18.90, which is about $15.99, and you can get it from carsandcrayons.com. So head over there and
We like the guys at Cars and Crayons.
we do. Yes,
Yeah.
very good indeed. They do some really cool stuff. So support them. Grab the magazine, enjoy it. Subscribe if you want to, digitally. Get more images. And yeah,
I have a question.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, you were sitting there with your new best mate, Jimmy DeVille.
Yeah,
Did you do a product of the week?
you're a bit jealous of Jimmy, aren't
No? I like his Land Rover.
you? It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah. His Land Rover's cool.
Yeah, very cool. No, we didn't. We were talking about too much interesting stuff. I didn't quite squeeze, and I forgot, if I'm
You
honest.
did forget. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was disappointed. I like the products of the week.
Sorry. Well, you can do one next week if you want, because we've been taking it in turns, haven't we?
Have we?
Well,
You maybe do two.
yeah, because I forgot the week before.
Yeah, so does that not mean you have to do two now because you forgot last week's?
We're back in sync now.
Okay.
Oh, because I forgot last week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Should we do another one?
Yeah. I was trying to hint to you there.
Well, in that case,
That'll make
if I
it
do
more
another one this
obvious.
week, you can do
One.
do one next week.
Yeah, I'll do that
Okay.
next week.
You're really getting good insight into the inner workings of a podcast here. It's
It's all made up.
It's so professional. Right, we'll go for a second product of the week. This one is a jumpstart box from Ring Automotive. So, for £109, you can have Ring's range topping jump starter. So if you ever feel, especially with the weather getting cooler, that your Land Rover's not starting quite as strongly as it once was, maybe the battery's on its last legs, or you don't use it very often, and you go to turn the key on a cold morning and you get that just click and your heart
that
sinks,
sound, man.
and you've got to go back in the house or find your jump leads and position another car and mess about, and you just want to get on your way. Invest in a jump starter from Ring, because it's got an enormous 1500 amp output, so you're pretty much going to jump start anything with that, aren't you? Reverse polarity protection, so if you're a bit bleary-eyed and you connect it the wrong way around, you won't cook all your ECUs if you've got ECUs. And if you don't want to use it as a jump starter, you can also plug your phone and other devices into it, because it's got USB outputs. So ringautomotive.com, $109.99. Looks a great bit of kit, to be fair.
Well, it does actually.
I've used Ring's older style jump starters, which will be lower capacity than that. In fact, it's in the Freelander right now, and they are brilliant.
I have a Ring battery charger at home, and that's really, really good. It tells you if your battery can do a maintenance on it, different charging.
Yeah, like levels and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
charging programs. There's a lot to it. It's good.
Those jump start things, though, so if you keep it in your car, you can charge it up off your USB port in the car, And then when, if you do ever need it, whether it's for your car or someone else's, it's in the glove box, takes up no room whatsoever. And yeah, I've jump-started loads of stuff with it.
It's interesting, like, so even just at the weekend at Newbury, how many Land Rovers were broken down at the end of the day, on the Sunday. Loads of guys coming up to us, you haven't got this or you haven't got that. One guy had to go and buy a compressor because his 300 TDI wasn't sucking enough diesel through.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
His lift pump might have died, maybe.
Yeah, I said, is it lift pump? He said, well, he basically, he drove there and instead of being able to do 60 or 70 miles an hour, it could only just manage 30 miles an hour. So it's a fueling issue.
Yeah.
So he went and found a second-hand compressor, which when we plugged it in for him, and then he blew some diesel through the lines.
Right.
Ring the bell.
He might have.
Yeah. He knew what was wrong with it.
Right.
But often there's guys with bonnets up trying to get their car started.
Not
So we can't go home till they've gone home. So we're just as keen to get them gone.
Wow.
I've got a ring compressor from about 12 years ago. A ring starter from about 12 years ago. And I still keep it in the Freelander. It still works perfectly. So they do last well.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know why you wouldn't have one in this day and age, because you can't. Do you know what I find scary is the number of people who don't know how to jumpstart a car? And maybe I'm a bit blasé because I've obviously got a technical background, but back when my dad was
Back in your day.
young,
Yeah.
everyone knew how to jumpstart a car. Now, I don't think that's the case. People my age wouldn't necessarily know how to jumpstart a car.
When I was at the local MOT place of the day, the MOT inspector, an old boy, Ed Zater. Well, I don't know really, but he loves what he does and he doesn't want to retire and he just carries on doing what he does. And he said, all the youngsters that come into this garage now, I asked them to lift the bonnet and they don't even know how to do that.
Really?
Yeah,
Cool.
because he doesn't want to be bending around here. He doesn't know where the bonnet catches on all of every car that ever comes in there. He can say, I haven't got a clue.
Wow.
Low tyre pressures, just they're presenting cars for MOT, not fit for, how bulbs out. Would you ever take a car for an MOT knowing it's going to fail?
No, but then your general average Joe just takes their car for MOT, don't they? They don't really think about doing it.
Yeah, but you'd think people who would walk around, check the lights are working and so on. Simple things like that, at least that's something you can do, and it saves you the retest fee
Well, because
if you spot
you're
something.
guaranteed to fail if your headlights bulbs out. But what he's saying is it's getting worse with people just not knowing.
Well, when I did my driving test, part of the theory was, part of the practical was you had to go around and show how to check your screen wash, your coolant and your oil and things like that. I don't know if that's still the case. By the sounds of it, it might not be.
No, it is.
Oh, is it?
Because my son's not long past his driving test.
Right.
And part of that, I showed him, and I was surprised he didn't know.
Right, okay.
I blame the parents.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. He didn't know. He's got zero interest.
Mind you, when's the last
Well, I blame the cars because I've got to say, I think cars are better than they used to be. And sometimes there isn't reason to open a bonnet because nothing goes wrong. I open the bonnet of mine regularly before any long trip, and I'll check oil, coolant, things like that. But it never needs any attention, so I needn't actually do it. The car gets serviced once a year, so I've no other reason to open the bonnet until that time. If the washer level goes down, I get an alarm. In fact, if the oil level goes down, I get an alarm. If anything happens, I get an alarm. And so I can understand why people don't know how to open the bonnet of their car.
You see, Martin.
You're going to say Martin doesn't know how to
Martin read my mind there. He looked at me and goes, I could hear it, I could feel it. See, Martin's Freelander team would have given him an alarm upon any overheating issue.
Oh, yes, it would,
Because he knew he was too clever and knew how to boil.
That's right. He didn't need an overheat alarm. No.
He just made it boiled.
I absolutely was in Ed's camp there with regards. If it's got a low coolant level, it will tell me. Except if you cut the wiring and bypass the sensor, it won't tell you.
Then it doesn't.
No.
And when you cut the low coolant alarm, you've got to have a good memory as well.
Which I definitely do not have.
I love the fact that you looked at me there. I know what's coming, and I was like, I can't wait till Ed finishes talking because I'm going to let you have it.
Standing on a train track, watching a train coming towards you.
But my point is, the average youngster now doesn't know how to put the alarm up or bypass things. They haven't.
You're absolutely right. And do you know what else I think a big problem is? Not necessarily so much in Land Rover circles, but the wider motoring world, is people who are, you just get in their car every morning, use it and don't think about it. They think like, sometimes people assume that an MOT and a service are the same thing, or they think that one cancels out the other and things like that. And it's like, I know of people who've driven around without an MOT for about 2 years just because I haven't had a chance to book it in for its service yet. All right, but it still needs an MOT.
It's just...
And people who buy a car because it's just got a brand new MOT, it must be good. But in actual fact, the MOT inspector just says that the car is okay at the time of examination. They will aim to get rid of any faults that might develop in the next 12 months, but it's not actually their responsibility to confirm that no faults will develop. So it's only a check at the time.
Absolutely. It's only as good as
it means quite little.
Yeah, I agree.
So Ed, what's your take on these on some of these modern cars that have service intervals every 2 years?
Well, it's killing a lot of Ingeniums.
Well, I was just about to mention Ingeniums.
Should you follow the manufacturer, or should you more servicing?
Yeah, you should. Bearing materials are improved, bearing design is improved, oil is improved. So provided the car's driven properly, I see no problem in sticking to 2-yearly schedules, unless you're driving a 2-litre Ingenium. But I'm going to retract something. Ingeniums aren't all that terrible. 19 model year on, I believe, are much better. No one's saying why officially, but a 19 model year is much better. And probably okay. And in actual fact, any Ingenium that hasn't gone wrong yet probably isn't going to. And those that have gone wrong have been replaced. So it's not too bad a deal buying an Ingenium. Unfortunately, prices don't seem to have dropped as a result of the bad reputation. But yeah, I think with an Ingenium, I wouldn't go to the 2-yearly oil change. I'd go to the 1-yearly oil change and filter change, and it needs to be quality oil in a filter.
Yeah, it's I agree with you completely, and it's that old. You see people with, it's quite prevalent on like the Discovery 3 and 4 and Range Rover Sport forums with the 3-litre, which obviously has that reputation for crankshaft snapping. People saying, well, I do 6,000 mile interim services. That's great, peace of mind, oil and filter at 6,000 miles rather than 12 or 15 that it's supposed to be otherwise. But that's only any good if whoever had it before you kept it serviced.
Yes, that's right.
You're going to extend its life, but if people, if a previous owner didn't service it for 3 years, you're spending quite a lot of money on oil for an engine that could potentially blow up anyway. But then again, we've touched on it before, you only ever hear about the bad ones. What is the true percentage of failures in these engines?
I think in respect of the Ingenium, all you've got to do is look at the number of Ingenium engine cars on the roads. Evokes, Discovery Sports, Velars, Jaguar F-Pace, V-Pace, they're everywhere. And not only are they everywhere, but people keep on buying them. So there can't be that many people that have had a disaster with a Ingenium engine because they simply wouldn't have bought a later model, and they've been selling constantly and very well indeed.
Yeah, that's true actually. I do wonder what the true percentages are. You're never likely to find out for sure, but I know there's plenty of, every time you drive past any sort of general car dealership like your car supermarket, stuff like that, they've always got Evokes, Discovery Sports, things like that on the forecourt. Tom Barnard's got a great bit in his column, actually, in the latest issue about the Discovery Sport being one of the highest or the fastest selling vehicles in these multi-brand.
The greatest profit margin for dealers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also there is a bit in there where it says about how used ones get bought very, very quickly. They're definitely in demand still.
Yeah. I was quite interested by the fact that he said there's a 3,800 markup, I think it was, average on a Discovery Sport. There's another way of looking at that, is that if you buy a Discovery Sport, you know that when you drive it off the forecourt, it's worth £3,800 less than you just paid for it, if you're lucky.
Yeah, there is that. I think anyone who buys a brand new car accepts the fact that it's going to lose a fair chunk of value as soon as you drive it away. But then with the latest sort of trend of buying cars on PCP and basically like a contract, like a phone or whatever, I don't think people are that bothered.
True, yeah.
It's sort of like you're
You
paying.
don't see it's real money.
No,
a problem.
No, exactly.
And the problem is it is actually real money eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, it's more real money because you're paying interest.
Well, not only that, as soon as you give it back, if you don't pay the balloon payment, you've paid the depreciation for the dealer, and then they put it up at a healthy used price. And
3,800.
yeah. Anyway, we're being cynical.
Yeah, we are. Yes. Yeah.
They're a great.
But being positive, I think it's a safe bet now to buy a Ingenium engine car, and there are some good ones.
There we go.
We heard it here first. Don't
Yeah.
grind it. That's wrong.
What was that email address again?
Complaints at
Ingenium. Yeah.
But going back, going back to my point about youngsters not knowing one end of a spanner or bonnet latch to another, there are some great stories of youngsters restoring Land Rovers out there, aren't there?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I want to hear about some more. So I think anyone that's under the age of what? Well, youngsters that are restoring vehicles now, who are Land Rover mechanics in their own world, should contact us.
Definitely.
Send pictures, and we'll give them a shout out.
I genuinely sorry, Ed, go on.
No, I was just going to say we shouldn't really be talking about just about youngsters of today, because going back years and years, when I was into cars as a teenager, I was thought to know everything about cars. It wasn't true, but I was thought I could certainly open a bonnet and mess about. But there were lots and lots of my mates who were not interested in cars at all, and probably then wouldn't have known how to open the bonnet because they wouldn't have known what to do once they'd opened it. And so I don't think anything's changed.
Okay, interesting. What was your first car, Ed?
My first car was a Ford Anglia. It cost me 40 quid.
What?
Yeah.
At least 50 now.
And it was delivered to my house on the back of a low loader and winched off because the front wheel wouldn't go around. It had been smashed in at the front. But with a lot of bludgeoning with a hammer and quite a few tons of catalloy paste, it looked like a pretty good car when I finished with it.
I like that you started with low expectations.
Yeah.
Things can only get better from there.
Sounded like that needed those racing numbers put on the side.
Well, I didn't have racing numbers, but it was a high-performance version because I matte blacked the grille and cut the front bumper into 3 and put quarter bumpers on. I was much faster with that.
Sporty.
Yeah.
So moving on from your first car, what was your first Land Rover?
My first Land Rover was a Series 3, which absolutely terrific car. We loved it and had it for a great number of years. But the thing that got me into Land Rovers was a friend of mine from California. He came over, very strangely, he emigrated from California to Barrow-in-Furness, and he was obsessed with anything British, and there wasn't much more British vehicle than a Series 1 Land Rover soft top, which he bought. And being from California, I had no concept of rust. And so we used to take it on the beach when the tide was out, all across the sands, through pools of seawater, and it was absolutely terrific fun. This was the era of the Beach Boys. You had to have something like that. If you didn't have a beach buggy, well, a soft top Landy would do. And it's a great car. We have loads of fun It rotted away, of course, and was never seen again.
Probably still on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Sacrilege now, it seems.
Well, I think that you only have to look at the number of sort of beach cruiser style builds, I guess, that are happening nowadays. Like that look is still very much in vogue.
Indeed, yeah.
I would probably avoid driving through seawater in the cab because your chassis will just melt. But you've got to do what you've got to do, haven't you?
Well, you can always put a new chassis on nowadays.
Absolutely, yes. Something I'm currently.
Indeed,
I won't say too much about that, but we're making good progress. We're making good progress. All good fun, and that actually starts. That's going to start in the next issue of LRM, winter issue. The start of my chassis changing chronicles on my Series 3. Yes, very, very exciting stuff. So all good. Anything else to report, Steve, or are you all caught up? Are your brain still fuzzy from spares days?
Yeah, very fuzzy.
Yeah.
No, my brain's fuzzy all the time. Just how I roll.
Good stuff. Well, thanks ever so much for coming, Ed.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Go into town now and have a nice bit of dinner, aren't we?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye for now.
Goodbye.